So I'm going to, or maybe you could click on to show the video of face when at the beginning. I just put it into the chat room. Did you see it?
Yes, I will play it.
So I'll just say good evening, welcome to the AAPI Mentorship Speaker Series. FACE, we've been here 20 years and we're excited to be partnering with LASEA and all the other organizations to help. So hey, Belle, if and when are you gonna get to any place?
Our ETA is 5:14, so I'm thinking probably I won't be there by the time. So yeah.
So you have a picture, right? Just then maybe do it that way.
Like a background, virtual background?
I mean, basically, because I don't think it looks professional for you to be in a car for a formal event. So you have a photo with yourself, right?
Let me see if I can get one on my phone.
Oh, you know what? I think she did. Why? Is Akiko or no one else, or you don't know where it is? Right, you do have to sign up. Okay, thank you, bye. So Liz, is Julia, did she update the link? Update the registration?
I did it.
Oh, you did it. Okay, I'll take a look. Hey, Liz, you need to let Belle in again.
Yeah, I put her back in.
Okay.
Did the meeting get disconnected somehow?
No?
No?
Oh. It kicked me out.
That might have been you, because everyone else stayed on, I think.
Hold on.
Hey, you know what, Liz, can you get in touch with Caitlin? She was supposed to sign in. I don't see her sign up. Do you know who that is? Caitlin?
Yeah. Is she that one, Caitlin Kim? Is that her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can
Just say,
reach out to
hey,
her.
just want to make sure you got the link to sign up and sign in.
Also, I'm seeing someone in the room named
Rachel.
Rachel Kang. Is she supposed to be in the room?
I don't think so. Oops.
Okay.
Rachel,
I signed up for the seminar.
yeah.
It's okay. I think we just let you in a little early. Sorry.
You just revised the one. Oh, it's good, but I think you should include why it
So,
was fun
Rachel,
separately.
we'll let you in. We'll kick you out and we'll let you in
I see that as
about
the other.
another 5 minutes.
You just
Okay, Rachel?
revised that one.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, see you soon.
All right.
Okay.
So
good with
Liz,
it?
if you could put her back in the waiting room.
Yeah, I did. I think I just
Okay.
accidentally clicked admit all. So
Hey, so Eddie, the questions, I'm just gonna follow the questions that you sent to. Is there something that needs to be changed in the order?
I can't. Hold on, Tay. She's on the other line. I can't tell. Wait, Tay. Wait. I'm sorry.
So I'm having a hard time trying to, Liz, maybe can you send me the virtual background so I can try use it? Because right now the only thing I have available is a blur.
yeah, let me send it to you.
I mean, worst comes to worst, just don't spotlight me and share as soon as Haken says, and Mirabel's going to be introducing this, like go ahead and share the PowerPoint. Slides.
Maybe, yeah, maybe that's how we do it.
Maybe do that anyway, just in case.
Okay.
Hey, Eddie.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, so, the questions that you put together, I remember she asked to switch the order on something. What is the thing that we're supposed to switch the order of?
Yeah, it was a question about are there opportunities to intern in the places you have worked, and what should students do to prepare to work? And
Yeah.
she says to ask it after, what do you enjoy most about your job?
Okay. All right. So I'm going to switch the order. Do you have access to Excel?
Probably do. I printed out your thing, so.
Oh, no, I mean, I was just gonna, so right now, so if we go by the questions, I just thought maybe, we'll just go in this order. And then I guess there's a way that we could always decide that, there's some flexibility. It's not a do or die.
Yeah, no, I figured we've been pretty good at just kind of going through and crossing things off whenever we, don't get to or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll just be switching also, like I said, you'll do the introduction and then I will say, I'll ask please tell me what your job title is. What can you tell us that's interesting about your job, right? So I'm gonna start out with that.
Right.
And then should I even actually, what do you enjoy most about your job? Is that the same question
As what?
as the first question?
Yeah, I guess it is. Yes.
Okay. And then you could go on and to say, are there opportunities intimately you have worked in? What should, right?
Yeah.
Although is anything at the medical examiner, anything like the TV show CSI, that seems to be also kind of a combination of the top, what I mean? I think I'm just gonna move it. It seems like it's all the same thing on the.
Yes, I mean, but it depends on if she is going to talk about the CSI part, right? I just thought that was kind of that's the thing to kind of highlight, because what people may think of as CSI, but she told us it's nothing like CSI.
Right. So I'm gonna just say, please tell us about your job, and what's interesting, hip and cool, is your job as a medical examiner, anything like the TV show CSI. I think that way it's like, and then she could say, da, 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 da. Oh, yeah. Hello, Akiko, how are you? Akiko?
It looks like she hasn't connected to audio yet. Also, really quickly, is my video too shaky if I do it like this?
It's slightly shaky, but it's good. Hi, Akiko, how are you? I guess you're trying to connect to the audio.
Okay.
Yay, we made it.
Sorry, I was having sound issues.
Okay, so we're gonna start 80 seconds, but we're combining the first two, 3 questions. We thought it was kind of same thing, like tell us about your title, what's something interesting? Is it anything like the CSI? What's hip and cool? What do you enjoy about your job? So it's kind of like, I felt like it's kind of the same thing. So you can kind of share. Is that cool?
Okay.
All
that sounds good. Thank you.
And then I know you asked afterwards, are there opportunities to intern? So then you could go into that, right?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, sounds good. All right, it's 5 o'clock. So I'm thinking we should just start. So we're gonna do a 2.5 minute video highlight of our work before. So that wasn't included. So just want to let you know.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna let everyone in.
Okay, sounds good. Well, it's 5 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. I say, the early bird, the busy bird gets the worm, and it's 5 o'clock. Instead of you guys just kicking back after a long, hard week and just relaxing, you're here today. And so I just want to say congratulations. My name is Hey Panim. I serve as president of a nonprofit called Faith and Community Empowerment. And in partnership with LaSea, we'll be introducing a little later, but also our supporting organizations. We're really excited to be featuring another session on our mentorship speaker series. But at this time, just so that you understand a little bit about all the work that we do and perhaps the different ways that you might be able to benefit in staying connected with our organization. We have a 2.5-minute video. We've been around 21 years, but you could kind of get a sense of what we do. So can we play the video, Liz?
Last 20 years, FACE has brought hope, light, and voice to the world by advancing the AAPI community's participation, contribution, and influence through faith and community partnerships. Since 2001, FACE has garnered over 800 partners from the White House to Fortune 500 companies. FACE has trained over 5,000 faith and community leaders on community development through our C2 Leadership Institute and National Lighting the Community Summit. We have brought the hope of home ownership to over 11,000 families and individuals. We have saved families over $92 million worth of mortgages from foreclosures and connected people with over $1.8 million in down payment and other forms of assistance. FACE has been a beacon of light to many faith-based and community organizations, providing them over $400,000 in subgrants. Recently, through FACE's advocacy, 3,000 API youth will receive paid job training and internships through LA County, which is the first award of its kind. This year has been wrought with much pain, not only due to the coronavirus, but also the hate virus, leading to much anti-Asian violence and racism. In response, FACE has served as a voice for the AAPI community, combating the model minority myth and fighting to stop Asian hate locally as well as nationally. Despite the increased pains of the AAPI community, FACE has brought much hope for healing and unity through our Black and Asian solidarity efforts. FACE convened numerous Black Asian solidarity gatherings, which resulted in fostering deep understanding through tough conversations and truly being a light to the world. As we celebrate our 20th anniversary, we are grateful for the partners, friends, and supporters who have helped us to be where we are today. We thank you, and we hope you will continue to uplift our organization to serve as hope, light, and voice to the world. To get involved or support our efforts, visit www.facela.org.
And so can you unshare, Liz? Okay. And so on that note, we are really excited about bringing this initiative to our community. And our initiative is called the AAPI Career Pathways Initiative, and part of it is also the Mentorship Speaker Series. So we'll be sharing a little bit of both, and then we have a wonderful guest speaker today that you'll be able to learn a lot from. But let me share with you a couple of data points, why such a form like this is so critical, why paid internships are so critical. So there is something called the model minority myth, and you may have heard of it, may not have heard of it. And, Asians are depicted as such, and you would think that normally that sounds like a compliment. But unfortunately, in many ways, the fact that there's over 50 groups under the AAPI umbrella, it really hides the suffering of many subgroups. And there is a perception because we are doing well that we don't need programs like these internship programs or home ownership program or mental health programs and so forth. And at the same time, I believe it robs us of solidarity with other communities of color. So as in the case in point, you'll see here that Asians, I'm sure as Asian kids of Asian parents, Our parents are so strict, right, in achieving educational attainment and success. And you'll see here that really Asians shoot through the roof on bachelor's, master's, professional, and doctorate degree compared to any group. And so you would think that that would turn into success in the workplace, but you'll see in the next slide that ironically, the Asians have the lowest likelihood of being promoted into management. So the blue is the private sector, and you'll see that Asians, the likelihood is 55% of being promoted to management, Black 65, Hispanic 74, and then the white community at 111%. And you'll see the university in orange and the federal government that's in green. With lots of regulations, you would think there'd be less discrimination. And for the Black and Hispanic community, it really pays off. But for the Asian community, it actually drops even lower. And so, part of the reasons that we believe, something is changing, okay? Part of the reason is that for many Asian kids, our parents kind of think that their job is done, once you enter and graduate from college. But actually, when you enter the workforce and having mentors, having leadership development, knowing how to show up are some of the skill sets that you'll need to be successful in the workplace. But unfortunately, because of the model minority myth, there are very little mentorship, leadership development programs. Elizabeth, you got to turn that off. So on that note, we have launched this initiative, and the county government has a wonderful program that we'll be introducing called Youth at Work. And 17% of the LA County population consists of Asians, and yet only 3% of the participants in this paid youth internship are AAPI. We advocated, we made a change, and now we're able to bring this resource to the program. So at this time, I'm going to have Mirabel, our staff, share with you how you might be able to get paid internships and get that job experience so that you could become successful in the workplace. And then we'll have an intern share a little bit of their success, and then we'll go into the speaker series. So with that, Belle?
Hi, everybody. My name is Mirabel Johnson. I don't know if you can see me, but my name is Mirabel Johnson. I'm a program coordinator and housing counselor here. And as Hayden mentioned, this speaker series today and our past speaker series have all been part of our AAPI Youth at Work Career Pathways Initiative, as you can see pictured here on this slide. We'll also be putting the full flyer. This is just a part of our flyer, but we'll be putting the full flyer in the chat. So keep an eye out for that. And go ahead and put that in after we go through these slides. If you could go to the next slide, I'll talk through a little bit about what this program is. It's basically a paid internship and job training for AAPI youth ages 14 to 24. And this is a partnership with LA County's Youth at Work program, which is available to non-AAPI youth as well, but we are reaching out to the AAPI youth. And this internship opportunity is for $15 an hour, up to 160 hours, and 20 of those is the paid job training. The internships can be at private and government and nonprofit sites. And an example of a nonprofit site is FACE. And you're able to continue to be part of this program. So you get 160 hours per year that you are eligible until you age out. And you age out obviously after 24. So in order to participate in the program, you have to follow these 2 steps. And it has to be, you have to do both of these 2 steps. Okay. The first one is fill out FACE's interest form, which can be found on our website. And we'll go ahead and put the direct link to the form in the chat room in a little bit. And then the second step that you have to do is fill out the county's application. So you have to do both. You have to fill out FACE's interest form and the county's application. Once you have filled out the county's application, within 2 weeks, you should hear from an AJCC, not FACE, not us, but an AJCC, which is kind of like your caseworker. For those of you, if you haven't heard from an AJCC after 2 weeks, that's when you should email FACE, okay? And we'll go ahead and put the email in the chat room as well. That email is pathways at facela.org. Again, that's pathways@facela.org. For those of you who have already applied through the county and still haven't heard back, you should definitely go ahead and reach out to us by email, again, at pathways@facela.org, and we can try and figure out what happened there. When you do fill out the county's application, you want to make sure to list FACE as your reference, okay? And that way we can advocate for you and make sure that that if something goes wrong, that we can expedite that process for you. If you would like to intern at FACE, because like I said, FACE is an internship site. We're one of the nonprofit sites. So if you'd like to intern with us, then you can do these 2 steps, but then additionally, go ahead and email us your resume, and we'll go ahead and schedule a time to do a meeting. And we'll put all of the links as mentioned in the chat room in just a little while, in just a few minutes. So speaking of an internship with FACE, we're going to hear next from one of our current interns. Her name is Courtney Quack, and she is currently a college student at UC Irvine. So I'll pass it over to you, Courtney. Are you there?
Yes, she's there.
Okay, great.
Thank you. So hello, everybody. My name is Courtney, and as Belle said, I am currently an undergrad at UCI. And in January, I was fortunate enough to land an internship at FACE, thanks to the Youth at Work program of LA that we're currently talking about. I can wholeheartedly say that this internship opportunity has positively impacted me as a person in many different ways. As an intern, not only did I get the chance to develop skills, areas involving graphic designing, data entry, and other administrative functions, but I've also successfully identified and developed my soft skills like communication skills and time management skills. The personal growth that I have experienced as an intern for FACE would not have happened without the guidance of Belle, Capon, and Liz. And for that, I would like to extend my heartfelt thank you to you 3. Whether it's large or small, your support has been an integral part of my success, and I'm forever grateful for the wisdom you have instilled in me. And I'm looking forward to continue contributing to the efforts of FACE. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And at this time, I want to just share one more thing, which is our home ownership fair that's coming around the corner. And we have a 30-second coverage of that. If you or your family members desire to be a homeowner, we had Kane Rivera, only 22 years old, become a homeowner using only $2,900 of his money, and he only earned $35,000. So we're having a fair that's coming up. So can we play the ABC coverage of Kane Rivera?
One second.
I'm already on.
What was
Oh,
that?
shoot, sorry about that. My apologies. Sorry.
Okay, can we play the video?
Buying a home in Southern California is out of reach for many people, but a program that helps low-income wage earners purchase a home is getting some rave reviews. 22-year-old Vicente Rivera just bought this $249,000 condo in Lake Balboa. His down payment, just $2,900. This was made possible by the nonprofit group FACE LA, which stands for Faith and Community Empowerment. FACE works with the city of LA and private companies to find affordable housing for first-time buyers.
It makes me feel amazing. I'm literally on another high right now. Like, I feel so high off life. Like, my dream has really came true.
Vicente says he'll actually be paying less for his mortgage than he did for rent. For more information about the program, go to facela.org.
Yes, and just you'll see it's free admission. We have lots of raffle prizes. Go visit our website, facela.org. Okay, great. And at this time, I am going to now switch gears and introduce Eddie Yen, who is the president of the LA County Asian Employee Association. He has been an avid partner in helping us launch this Youth at Work speaker series. And so with that, Eddie, and Liz, can you spotlight Eddie, please?
Yes.
Well, thank you, Hapen. Just quickly, introduction about our organization. It's the LA County Asian American Employees Association. We are a group of volunteers, county employees who are working to advocate for the Asian American community. And as you can see, based on my sign in the back, we are focused on advocacy, community service, career development, and connections or networking. And really happy to be here today to collaborate with Face LA to put together this program and to let the youth of LA County, especially the AAPI youth, to understand and know about a program such as this that's provided by the County of Los Angeles.
All right. Well, thank you, Eddie. And again, he's an awesome leader. There's, I believe, 20%, is it, of all the county employees? Is that Asian as well?
That's correct. Correct. 20% of our workforce in LA County, that's about, let's say we have about 100,000 employees, a little bit over 100,000, about 20,000 are Asian American Pacific Islander.
And so if you would like connections, connect with Eddie. And so with that, Eddie, would you help us introduce our speaker, our keynote speaker here, mentor?
Yes, very proud to be able to introduce Akiko Tagawa, who is our speaker for today. Her career with the County of Los Angeles spans over 25 years. She graduated with a degree in environmental and occupational health from Cal State University Northridge. She was part of the Department of Public Health team that created the ABC restaurant grading system and supported outreach to the community to expand awareness of food safety issues. She has worked in organizational development and training, but found herself wanting to do external facing work and moved to the Substance Abuse Prevention and Control Program, where she worked on policies related to sober living and implemented the nation's first process improvement programs with the county contracted rehab facilities. Her administrative work experience spans multiple departments, including as the executive assistant to the administrative deputy of public health, the probation department, where she oversaw the management of the juvenile facilities, and back to public health, where she worked on responses to Ebola, a hepatitis A outbreak, a measles outbreak, the Exide lead contamination outreach, Woolsey fire outreach, and most recently, work on the COVID-19 pandemic. She was also part of the team that stood up the mega vaccination pods. For the last 13 months, Akiko has been the chief deputy of the medical examiner coroner. I would like to introduce Akiko Tagawa.
All right. Well, Akiko, first of all, welcome. You are making history, and definitely on COVID-19 and all the various areas that you're working in, but even the ABC ratings, the fact that you played it, that's a legacy. I think that will carry on for years to come, right? So with that, you've had so many various interesting jobs, but tell us a little bit about your current job and what you find interesting. Is there anything hip and cool? Is it anything like CSI, right? And what do you enjoy most about your job? Akiko, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on a Friday afternoon before a 3-day weekend. Your dedication is recognized.
Thank you, and yourself too, and to all the students, right?
Yes. So again, my job title is Chief Deputy. And if you look that up in Google, or I guess Bing, if you're a Bing person, it means that I'm the second in command of the department. So I support the director of the medical examiner coroner, who would be the chief medical examiner coroner, in running the department. And my overall function is to make sure that every day everything kind of works. All of the processes are in place, and operationally we're in a good place. So I don't, unfortunately, on a daily basis get to go out to the field and look at death scenes or anything like that. But on the occasions that I have, I can confirm with you that it's really nothing like CSI. First and foremost, people don't dress like them, and we're actually in uniform. The other thing is that the investigator in the CSI shows probably do the job of 5 to 8 different specialized positions in our department. So you're looking at like this one super person who combined all of this. Now, the interesting fact, if you've ever seen CSI, is the concept of the show came out of LA County's medical examiner coroner. But due to logistics and everything else, they moved the show over to Las Vegas. So the design of the vehicles and some of the language might be reminiscent of what you might actually see here. So there's that component, but it really isn't anything like it. The other thing is, you know, the state-of-the-art equipment that you see, the amount of time it takes to process toxicological screening is not a day or two, it's more like 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so that reality is lacking. But it's a show. People love it. You'll see, like, you know, tours and stuff regarding it when you go to Las Vegas. So it's obviously a very famous thing. But that's what I could say about that. And another interesting fact is the name coroner comes from a British word of the crown, and it's basically to be like the Queen's support, and that's where the coroner name comes from. And it actually doesn't have to be a doctor or anybody who's medically trained. In many agencies, the coroner is an elected official. So we're actually trying to get away from the name coroner. And by next fiscal year, so by the end of this calendar year, our name would have dropped the coroner and we would have become the Department of Medical Examiner. Because a medical examiner technically needs to be someone who specializes in forensic pathology and is a licensed physician. And normally the name coroner, like in CSI, is associated with the Sheriff's Department or some law enforcement agency. Here, we're an independent agency separate from the sheriffs. So to be able to say that we're the medical examiner also can show the communities that we're independent and neutral from any law enforcement agency, which I think is really important and good to have. So
especially these days, right, where there's a lot of question of transparency and political biases that could political agendas may also get involved. So.
Yes. So that's the direction we're headed in. And what's hip and cool, and this is not just our department, but the county recently, I don't know, Eddie, if you're aware, we recently the county of Los Angeles was recognized as one of the top 500 large employers in the United States by Forbes. Wow. So it's kind of cool to be able to say that I work in one of the best companies, you know, or work for the best employers in the country. The second thing that is kind of hip, at least for me, is that I don't know if you could see behind me, but there's a dog dish down there. And we recently started the Pet Dog at the Workplace program. And so we can bring our dogs to the office, and we're the first department in the county outside of animal care and control to be able to have this privilege. So, you know, we're trying to get it out right now, but we think it's pretty hip and happening.
Progressive. You don't think of, you know, county government offices being able to be trendy, but that's pretty progressive as well.
Yes. And we're looking at this from a wellness perspective, you know, and in the past we had therapy dogs come and, you know, give hugs to our investigators and toxicologists and pathologists, because they see a lot of bad things, you know, and it's stressful at times to just day in, day out be exposed to decedents. So to have this dog, you could see people's faces light up, and it really changes the well-being. So we thought if pets were here more regularly, that might actually be good for mental health purposes. So that's the reason why we pushed it out.
Thank you. I know I'm going to pass the question to Eddie, but I know that you're not a doctor. So that was kind of an interesting thing, that in your role that you don't have to go to medical school necessarily to play the role that you are as well. So could you make a quick comment on that, and I'll toss it to Eddie for the next question.
And this is where I think my boss and I make a really good team. So my boss is a doctor. He's really nationally renowned forensic pathologist who came from San Diego, and he's like technically probably one of the most sound technicians in the world of the medical exam world, I guess. Where I supplement and become a really good partner to him is my know-how and skills in operationalizing processes and procedures and taking care of the housekeeping, I guess, of sorts, like, you know, making sure staff are happy, making sure the facilities are running, making sure that, you know, we don't get into trouble with litigations and whatnot. You know, that side's equally important,
yes.
but it's got its own level of subject matter expertise. So that's where I come in, and he teaches me about the technical sides of the work, and I try to support him and guide him on the administrative and operational side.
Awesome. Well, Eddie, go for it. I feel like I've been hogging up airtime. Go for it.
No, not a problem. So I'm going to bring it back into something that we talked about, your experience with interns at the variety of places and departments that you worked at. Can you kind of tell us the opportunities to intern, whether in your current department or in other departments that you've worked at?
Yeah, so I've utilized the youth program in various departments, including the probation department, public health, and now here at the medical examiner coroner's office. But especially at public health, we expanded usage because of the COVID pandemic response. Normally, there is some age requirements where I know the program goes from 14 to 24, I believe, but we usually take students that are 18 and older due to the types of work that happen. It's mostly clerical, you know, and that may not sound interesting, but weirdly it is. And the most important part of the internship, I believe, is that you get to meet people within the agency. So you get to learn about how to apply for positions, how to interview, where to look, you know, what kind of things government's looking for in skill sets. And it really starts to like start creating your network for you of people to hang with, I guess, and you know, figure that portion out. And I've actually had interns that I've kept in touch with over the years through LinkedIn and other places, and some have gone on to become doctors, others have gone on to get PhDs, and they've become very successful in their own areas, and some come back to the county after they're done with their education, others move on, but you know, there's still connections that stay for a long time. So that's kind of the background on the internship. It's specifically in our office right now, we actually need a lot of help because our workload has increased by, I want to say 30 to 40%.
Wow.
And what that means, and we're really heavy as far as being paper based. So we need a lot of help with clerical support, answering phone calls, filing medical documents, filing court documents, because a lot of our investigators and pathologists are subpoenaed to go to court to testify regarding their findings in an investigation if it's, you know, of criminal nature. And so that there's those types of support. There's also clerical support needs with the actual medical division, with the team of pathologists. There's internships with the lab if you're more interested in like the toxicological work, the DNA identification of, you know, the people that we don't know who they are. There's also positions like in administration and investigation, all clerical. And the phone calls in many offices may sound easy. You just say hello, you take a message. Ours is really, I think, kind of unique because the callers, even though they're the general public, are people who are calling because they've lost somebody in a loved one. So they call with a lot of charged emotions, angry, sad, somewhere in between. They don't realize because they watched CSI, they think they get all of their death related information next week, and realize that it's going to take a couple months, and those things start to really create panic. So the phone calls themselves become a really good training ground for you as far as learning how to deal with people under high stress situations. What I can say is my very first job was an internship with the state EPA. And they took me into what I called the dungeon. It was a basement of this building. And my job for the entire summer was to refile all of their documents in this like basement. And, at first, I'm 20. I'm like, this is not cool. There's no windows. Everything smells moldy. It was just, but then I started reading every file, and every file was just so interesting because they were state funded cleanups of hazardous waste sites, and some of it was confidential, but that's my job, is to go through all the files to make sure it was filed in the right place. And the amount of information I gained just from reading the documents was tremendous. And it was probably more learning that I did there in that 3 months than I did in class, learning about hazardous management in my degree program. So, it sounds even if the positions sound like it might not be a lot, it really is what you make of it. And I think from that perspective, there's a lot there for you to gain from doing the internships.
Wow, you've given some really good advice, right? That a lot of times for interns, I do remember even my first internship, like I'm kind of in a similar situation, going through piles of paper. And I don't think I was wise as you, right? Because for me, it was like, okay, the reason why I'm going to college is because I don't want to do this kind of thing. But you actually studied. And as you say, there's a lot of richness of experiences to be gained, lessons learned by actually just engaging at a deeper level than just, oh, let me just do this rotely, right? And so that's a really good takeaway that I really encourage everyone to take with you as well. And in all the clerical jobs, it actually sounds interesting, because even for me, at first glance, when I hear, oh, clerical, it just doesn't sound that exciting. But again, just the lived experience, all the soft skills, the mentorship. So actually, I want to go on that one. So, as introduced by Eddie, you didn't start off or work forever as a medical examiner. You actually moved from place to place, and you've had a lot of different positions. Can you just share, like, how did you end up, in these positions? How did it work out for you? And were there mentors or people that helped guide you through this process?
Yeah, that's how I got here, this was not planned. So that's one. But I guess so I'll answer in twofold. How I got here is one, but do I have mentors? So I'll start with the mentors part. I actually have what I call a brain trust. It's like a bank account, but not of money, it's of people. And if you don't know what a brain trust is usually a group of advisors that advise a government leader, a government agency, or politicians usually. But I've used it for my own personal use, and I like the word brain trust. So I like saying it. So within my brain trust, I have like people I've collected, I guess, and filed throughout my entire life. And if I have questions about like how to connect better with my team, there's a certain group of people I'll reach out to and talk it over with. When I actually took this job or was deciding whether or not to take the job, I had probably 5 or 6 people I reached out to talk about, do you think this makes sense? Because I had other opportunities as well, and had to weigh what made the best sense for me at the moment. And they were really good sounding boards. And, for that, I also have a group of people who help me if I'm like, thinking about policy development or how to create cultural changes in my organizations. So that's what I call brain trust. So I've had mentors all my life. And in addition to that, I have a network of people I know. And this takes me back to my internship at the state. So when I interned, there were only 2 positions. And my college class for the degree program was I think I want to say there were 600 students. And this was a heavily sought out internship. And my grades weren't great, so I was originally discouraged from applying for the internship. And I thought, well, what the heck? All they're going to say is no. I'll still get my opportunity to go through an interview process. Even if they say no, I'll do it. And I went, and they liked me. It wasn't about my grade or, what they liked me when I met with them, and they thought they could work with me. So I came on to work. And then halfway through the internship, they said, hey, Akiko, we really like you. Do you have a friend or classmate like you that we could bring on? And so there was this girl at school that was helping me pass my classes. So I said, hey, you're smart. You're always helping me. So there's this opportunity to intern. And even back then, the hourly, it was sought after because it was $25 an hour. And that was in the 90s.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. Wow. No, it was pretty cush, right?
Wow.
So she came to interview. They loved her. They just absolutely loved her. So she ended up interning there too, and we got to know each other a lot better because we went to lunch together and complained about why we're only doing clerical things, things like that. Well, and so the internship ended. We got to be close friends. We graduated. We started kind of separating, and I was trying to find jobs in the private sector, and then she called me. So this is a networking, right? She called me and said, hey, Akiko, you helped me with that internship. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that there were openings with the county. I'm applying. It's due in a week. You should look into it. So I said, oh, thanks. So I applied. I looked into it. I applied. I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is, but I'll apply because my friend said this is a good thing. And fortunately, we both got in. And that's how I got into the county. And it wasn't because I knew anything about the county or that I really wanted the job. It was because I was looking for a job, and somebody that I kind of networked with and helped out in college, helped me. And that's what it's all about. And we've become lifelong friends. We've participated in each other's weddings, and we've become very close, but, over the decades. But that's where it all kind of started.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to highlight some takeaways and then pass it on to, again, Eddie. Well, so first of all, you don't have to be book smart only, right? That you could be okay, right? But unfortunately, our Asian parents just say study, study, study. But really, I think the soft skills, the personality, right, as well as how you could articulate what you can contribute, it seems like it has played well. And never let someone discourage you, right? So, oh, Akiko, you don't have some good grades, forget it, don't let other people do that. And Akiko had that boldness, right, to pursue and say, why not? And so I think you've given advice that you're not afraid to fail, right? I think I heard you say that before. So I just want to put that out there. And you know what? Never go alone. Right? Like here, Akiko, was able to share the resource, and that favor always comes back in some way. The networking, again, is such an important piece. And, a lot of times the goodies, it doesn't come necessarily from your immediate whatever. A lot of times it's through this kind of networking opportunity. So you've given some really good, precious jewels right now. Okay, Eddie, go for it. Next question.
I guess I might as well admit that I was also not a, well, not also, but I was not a straight A student. So, just to throw it out there,
Hope this is giving some hope to the Asian students out there, but maybe the parents might not be too happy. Right?
Yes, parents turn off, I went to USC back when it was a lot easier to get in USC. Anyway, so talking about education, I'm going to combine a couple of questions together because I think it could kind of fit in. But I want to ask about kind of like your education and how it prepared you for your career. And if you could just talk a little bit about kind of that process of getting into the county, or maybe not your process in getting to the county, but nowadays, what's that process like if you want to work for the county?
Okay, so I'll start with the last question of how to get in. It's tough now, and if you haven't already, I would, if you're really interested in joining the county, and this would be true for any agency, whether it's the federal government or the state, get comfortable with their websites and get comfortable with their HR processes. And I think that would be true even for private sector, but particularly for government agencies and something, the federal government is just rough the application process is rough. I applied for OSHA through the state. That was rough. And that was, not how many years ago. And now, so the county, the place to go is hr.lacounty.gov, but they basically list out all of the job opportunities. What you can do is create an account. And by creating an account and figuring out what skill sets you have that you think you qualify for, they'll send you an email notification when that position opens up.
So the website was hr.lacounty.gov?
Yes, yes, yeah. And it's really pretty intuitive. And they actually have like a support system within that website where it helps you to figure out your career path with the types of degrees that you have. But by creating this account, you can actually start building your resume inside the account. The reason why that's important, and what I've done most of my professional career, is you always need to have an updated resume and a draft cover letter that's ready to go. And all you need to do is to tweak it like literally within 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, and have it ready so that at a moment's notice, you have an updated resume and a cover letter that can be sent out. So even when I applied for this position, it came out of nowhere. Someone said, hey, there's this opening, we'd like you to apply. It's due tomorrow. That's the deadline. So I'm like, okay, so I just got out my most updated resume, tweaked it a little bit to make sure it fits the needs of this position, and then sent it out with a cover letter, but and the reason why, especially if you're trying to get in for the first time to the county, why that's important is you have so many competitors trying to do the same thing that when the position opens up, some positions, the exam, we call it an exam. The opening is called an exam because you go through some kind of a testing process or like a review process or evaluation process. So sometimes it'll say the exam will close after we receive like 200 applicants. When that happens, usually it closes within an hour or two of the exam opening. So if you're not ready and you're working on your resume from scratch, you're not going to make it in time to hit that mark. And then you've lost out on the opportunity to even apply. So having that account, having a lot of your information in place, it usually the positions will require you to, have a copy of your transcript and a copy of your degree or whatever it is, certifications, depending on the position. You want to have that scanned and in your account so it's ready. And all you have to do is press send and it'll go to where that application is. So that's the very key thing, because that's how competitive some of these positions are.
Thank you. So for those of you who may have questions, please feel free to put it into the chat room. We have tons of questions to ask Akiko, but we also want to give you that opportunity as well. Before I ask the next question, I know that I was surprised how much money, you think government job, there isn't that much pay, but Eddie, can you tell me, I know you're not the department head, I know you're second in command, Akiko, but first of all, how much I think there's about, how many department heads are there in the county? And like, what is the range of how much a department head currently make? Eddie or Akiko, could one of you just share a general stat?
So how about I could share, we have about 30, I think 38, and I know we're adding some departments. So let's say about 38 department heads. We also have other positions like executive directors of commissions. So, a county job or government job, it's a good job, right? And, you're not going to be an equity partner at some investment firm and things like that. But, it's a job that pays well to, help us, obviously achieve living standards and things like that. But you don't get into
number.
It ranges, right? Because depending on the kind of skills and degrees that you attain. For example, if you have a medical degree and you're a doctor, you're going to be maybe there's like a range of 4 to 5 or maybe 600,000, right?
Wow.
For the county council or the CEO, we're looking at maybe in the 4s or somewhere around there. And then so it ranges anywhere from like maybe the 150 to all the way up to that level. But it just really depends on the skill set, the degrees, the level of the size of the department. We have departments that are I don't know, was it DPSS, DHS, tens of thousands of department, employees, so, depending on the size of the department also dictates the salary range.
Got it, Eddie. So you are a county government employee. You have to put all those disclaimers. But in general, what I heard is around 400 to maybe 600,000, depending on your qualification. There might be other positions that pay lower amounts, but there's currently about 38 department head positions. It's quite impressive. Obviously, there's 100,000 employees. As Akiko said, it's one of top 5 largest firms and probably one of the better firms to work for. There's lots of benefits. I mean, like I said, getting to know Eddie and some of the other county employees, I'm going, I wish I had known this when I graduated from college. And as Akiko mentioned, it's really hard to get into, but one of the beauty that's really great about this program, if you go through, so there's 3 types of employment sites, right? For county government, there is also private business and nonprofit, and each kind of has their own strength. But if and when you're ready to maybe join the county, if you get over 100 hours of county internship experience, then as a follow-up to this, there's phase 2 where you could get a full-time county internship position with benefits for 1 year. And after that, you could get into county employment. So in some ways, you could kind of bypass this whole system that Akiko was talking about that is super competitive, and you got to kind of get your act together. You got to have all your resume. But this program really allows you an entree in a very easy way to be able to get that county experience, county connections and relationships as well. So on that note, we still have to do well on that interview. So I know, Akiko, you as being a supervisor, you supervise a lot of interns. And I know that many times Asian students are not properly trained or prepped. And so they don't do so well in those interviews. Could you just share, like, what are some mistakes or maybe things that you want to give advice of what Asian students may end up doing and what they really shouldn't do? Any thoughts or advice on that?
Yes, I can give a lot of advice on this. on the interview. And it may not necessarily be just Asians, but you know, the frequency is there, and some of you might be able to kind of relate to this. But I guess first and foremost, it's okay. And I actually think it's good if you're a little bit nervous. The problem is if you're way too nervous. I've had candidates that were so nervous their voice wouldn't come out.
Oh, wow.
Or they're so nervous that they're, you know, I mean, I felt nervous because they were so nervous. You know, and that's where, you know, learning mindfulness skills, meditation, breathing exercises to figure out how to calm yourself down a little bit is important. And I can, for one, tell you that I have a severe shaking problem, you know, with my hands, where if I try to use a laser pointer in a presentation, it looks like I'm trying to catch a fly somewhere because it won't stay in one place. And I actually had to get people to teach me how not to do that or reduce it so that, but it took practice. And similarly, the way I am right now is not how I was 25 years ago. My voice would crack. Yeah, I would start struggling to breathe because I just like work myself up to the point where I just can't function. So that also took learning how to do breathing exercises and stretch exercises. And people think I look funny when I'm waiting for my interview, but I do these funny little things, including like, you know, doing these kinetic stretches like in my fingers, my face, you know, and I'll be making funny faces. But by the time I get into the room to do the interview, I've calmed down enough that my nerves aren't showing as much. But there are psychological studies that show that people usually like it intuitively and without knowing. They like it when someone's a little bit nervous. So be okay with it. But, you know, that's where the prep starts, is with knowing what your weaknesses are from that perspective. And this is your moment to market yourself. So how are you going to do that? So that's one. The second, and that also goes to showing confidence without being overly confident, right? You don't want to be arrogant about it. And that's where the self-deprecating nature, oh, I'm not that good. You know, my mom, well, my parents are a little odd, so they'll say how wonderful we are to other people and tell us how stupid we are. You know, but you know, it's sometimes hard for me, at least, to say how wonderful I might be or that I did a fantastic job, because that's not in my nature or culture to do, you know. But and so that's where you have to figure out, you know, how comfortable are you going to be with showing your confident side without being arrogant? You know, how, and confidence in the American culture is making eye contact with people, but without staring them down, right? So, you know, how do you mitigate and manage those soft skills? And then also include enough of your personality and make your responses more of a casual conversation. So when your responses, because you're anticipating certain questions, are too canned, it starts to come off not real, you know, that it's just too practiced. So think about that too, and adjust your communication styles to, you know, what's required for that interview. So case in point, one of the first jobs I ever interviewed for was for actually in high school, for kind of like a, well, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I could come full circle. I try to get a job at a cemetery as
Oh, wow.
a phone responder. I didn't get it because I was too happy. And they needed somebody that was solemn and peaceful and calm, which I'm not. Yeah. So you know, it's one of those things where there's an appropriate level of how you should be for certain types of jobs. So I can't tell you should be this way, and it also, you have to be comfortable with it. So you'll have to figure out how to interview in a way that you're comfortable, you're being truthful to yourself, but you're still shining through the way you need to for that interview.
I know you mentioned about what is it? Not soft talk.
Soft skills?
Small talk,
Uh-huh.
as well. Is there a way that you're able to improve on the small talk conversation, or were you just always, good at that?
So I grew up in English as a second language household. My mom still refuses to speak English. So as soon as I learned how to speak English, I was her translator at 4 and 5 years old, and having very complicated conversations of negotiating groceries, returning groceries back to the first because it's not good or whatever, so my entire life I've been placed in the situation where I've had to have difficult conversations with people. So it does come with a certain level of practice. One of my first jobs in high school was in a donut shop. And it was in a pretty, well, it wasn't in a nice neighborhood, I'll tell you that. And there were some strange people coming through, and multicultural, very diverse. And I really had to learn to figure out how to communicate with them so they'd buy an extra donut. And make sure.
Sales.
Yeah.
Skills, right?
And my boss at that time, really helped me to learn how to be kind during conversations and listen, and the listening allows you to figure out what small talk is going to work best in that conversation, because you also don't want to say something completely inappropriate for the moment, right? So that's one. So I do think that it does require some level of practice. I also think it requires that your current events, so that if somebody mentions something and it's a dry joke, where it's coming from. And a lot of times these dry humors come from current events. So having the in order to have a nuanced conversation without actually getting to the topic, right, requires that you understand the concepts behind current events.
So maybe staying on top of news and things like that, and social media rooms, but networking as well. Well,
Yes.
gosh, it's now 5:57. I think I could actually go on. We had a lot more questions for you actually on networking and mentorship and so much more, but you've really given us some really powerful, secrets / nuggets. And I do want to say that wasn't part of today, but I know that you continue to show up, you continue to shine your light, and even your current position is not, as you say, you looked for it, you didn't plan it, but because people heard about you and people saw you, that, your name got up, from HR. And I guess when they were looking for people, they said, oh, we should think of reaching out to Akiko. And I think that for many Asian students, that we don't know how to show up, how to speak up or shine our light. And part of it is, again, the soft skills, what I heard you say, soft skills, listening skills, networking as well. So thank you so much. Eddie, do you want to say any few words, and then I'm just going to close?
No, I just think that everything that Akiko shared, it's kind of spot on, right? Really agree with a lot of the things she said, giving a lot of great advice on, on even the interview tips. I think one of the other things that Akiko had mentioned when we talked to her earlier was sometimes maybe being too self-deprecating, may hurt, or maybe try to keep some eye contact, just little things like that. I know Akiko shared before, I just thought was just just little tidbits like that, could just change the kind of the dynamics of an interview, right? And I thought those, I just wanted to share that because that came up in our conversation with her earlier.
And I know that you were a organization junkie and a conference junkie, right? You attended a lot of conferences, you joined a lot of organizations, and you served and you showed yourself as well. So we're just kind of reiterating some of the things that you shared earlier with us, and I want to make sure those priceless advice that our youth are able to get as well. So one last thing for the youth, we put into the chat room, please sign up for this amazing experience. Akiko shared it's tough to just go and get that county internship or job, but but through this program, it's like wide open. The expectation bars are quite low, just so that they recognize that you need that first internship, first job experience. So take advantage of it, and you'll be able to meet people like Akiko, people like Eddie, people like ourselves, so that you could get this, right? And you don't make those mistakes. So with that, a big thank you, Akiko. You were wonderful, really, really great. So thank you so much. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you to all our partners. And we shall see you again next month for our next speaker. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful Memorial holiday. Take care.